everyone. My name is Renee Long, a communication specialist and webinar coordinator here at American College of Healthcare Sciences. And joining me today behind the scenes for all our technical needs is Dominic Aiello, a social media specialist and webinar coordinator here at ACHS. And today we'll be hosting a webinar from our Master Lecture Series. Each of these lectures features an expert in the holistic health field, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's Master Lecture webinar, The Introvert's Advantage, 3 Secrets to Filling Your Holistic Practice with Little Marketing, presented by Chen Yen. And just a few housekeeping items before we get started. You may have noticed that your line has been muted. We are recording today's webinar, and this helps ensure we can clearly hear our presenter. You'll also notice that you have a control panel at the right-hand side of your screen. If you have a question for Chen during the webinar, go ahead and type it into the questions box, and I'll write them down and read the questions to Chen, and she'll answer them during the 10-minute Q&A session at the end of the webinar. If you have further questions that require a bit more depth of answer, please feel free to follow up with Chen directly at mentor@fillmyholisticpractice.com. She's happy to respond to all of your questions, but please be sure to give her some time to get back to you. And now I'll go ahead and turn the webinar over to Chen, who will give a brief introduction and then begin the lecture. Welcome, Chen. You should now have control of the webinar, and we should be seeing your
Have you ever gone to a networking meeting or conference where you almost talked yourself out of going? Then when you got there, you sat at the back of the room where it's not so loud, and you didn't feel like talking to anyone, but you thought, well, I came all this way, so might as well talk to people. And then you end up forcing yourself to make small talk. After it's over, you leave thinking to yourself, why did I come? You feel exhausted and you don't feel like talking to anyone for a while. Have any of you ever felt that way before? Go ahead and type it in the chat. And so you had handed out some business cards. You're hoping you're going to get some clients out of it, but as the weeks go by, you don't hear from them. If you can relate to that, you're not alone. And did you know that actually 30 to 50% of people are introverts and feel that way? But it's not something that's talked about very much. But let me ask you this. Do you beat yourself up because you don't put yourself out there? Or do you ever think, if only I were more extroverted, then it would be a lot more easier? If that's what you're thinking, then I have great news for you, because you can stop beating yourself up. And there's a way that you could actually use your introvertedness as an advantage when you're growing your practice. If you're an aromatherapist, a health coach or nutritionist, maybe you are an energy spiritual healer or a holistic health practitioner who has a feeling you're an introvert, there's the reason why you're here today. And there's something that called you to actually want to show up today. This feeling that you're meant to do much more than you're expressing right now. And you have a gift to share with people, that it's your time. And it's your time to step into what you're meant to do in this world. You're tired of not being found by people you can help, and not enough people know about you. And it's frustrating because even though you love helping people, you find yourself wondering, what did I get myself into? Because you're struggling with either filling your practice or you're feeling burnt out by not being able to take time off. And if you're in a place where you haven't started your practice yet, you might be a little bit worried about what's going to happen once you start your practice. So you're definitely in the right place, and welcome to the Introvert's Advantage, 3 Secrets to Filling Your Practice with Little Marketing. And I just want to acknowledge you for being here today, because you're here because you play an important role in our healthcare system if only more people actually knew about you. And people are suffering from issues that many conventional MDs have no clue about what to do with except give people a bunch of pills. And what if there's actually a better way of attracting a steady flow of clients, and you didn't have to go to places like health fairs or network yourself to exhaustion? Just imagine for a moment what that would be like. And imagine you even having a waiting list. Then you wouldn't be a best kept secret. So that's what's possible from what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And it may seem like it's a stretch to go from what you might be doing right now to actually becoming easily found by the people who need you, and especially being in demand as an introvert. So let me share with you my story and how the secrets I'm going to teach you today came about. I actually started out as a pharmacist working on Native American reservations, and really liked the adventure of traveling to different reservations, getting to know the tribes and culture, and working with the natives. But then I started hating going to work every day. I still remember one day when I went to the pharmacy, and And I had to hand out this Prozac medication to this woman, and I just felt so angry. I felt angry not at her, but at what our healthcare system was putting in front of her, as if that were the only option, and I was endorsing it. Because the truth was, I really didn't believe that myself, that she had to be on that for life, when I was supposed to tell her that if she did stop taking Prozac, then she wouldn't feel good anymore. And it drove me crazy seeing people come in and get 10 to 20 medications. You know, a lot of the patients I worked with were diabetic. And seeing them just be given that and not being given much other options just made me feel so upset at what we were putting in front of them. And so, have you ever been in that place in maybe in your life where you just felt like, this isn't what I thought this would be like. This is what I signed up for. And well, that's how I was feeling, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do next. I just knew that I had to get out. So fast forward 5 years, I had started and grown a successful. So what happened was, I ended up at the time not knowing what to do, but there are other pharmacists around me who I noticed were unhappy, and I thought, well, I can at least get them in jobs they like. So then that's when, fast forward 5 years from then I had started and grown a recruiting business to 7 figures in less than 5 years. But you know, I used to always think that when I made 7 figures, that I could end up doing what I really cared about, and also be able to have the money that I wanted, you know, to do things and I'd be happy. But it wasn't showing up that way for me. I started to notice a lot of struggle energy, and it took months of soul searching until I finally had to just face the truth that I needed to stop pretending. Stop pretending that it was okay that I was still primarily selling my soul for people to be on drugs when I really didn't feel that way. So now, one of the things was that I I thought about, well, what will I do next? And something that I've been really passionate about is seeing the healthcare system be more integrated, because just imagine if people could have the best of both worlds. Imagine what that could be like. And especially with what our healthcare system is, there is still beauty in it. And then also with what you can help people with. And imagine if people actually had the best of both worlds, then people wouldn't be so dependent on drugs and surgery, and in many cases when that doesn't actually work for them. So that's what led me to want to help holistic health practitioners like you. And it's really about you being able to get the word out more. And when you can actually get the word out in a way that people get it, that's what will change our healthcare system. It's not going to be our government. It's going to be because it'll be very slow if we wait for the government. But if you can actually help people get it, and they start seeking you out, they start understanding and they start wanting it and asking for it, that is what's going to change our healthcare system. So you might be thinking, well, what does you having, you know, growing a successful 7 figure business have to do with me growing my holistic practice? And one of the things about it is that I'm an introvert, and I had a hard time growing my business at first. And I didn't know anything about business, even though I had a doctorate degree. And so I hired mentors from the start, but I had these extroverted mentors who would tell me, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it would just feel really exhausting for me. And it would be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I wouldn't have done anything. And it finally hit me one day that if that kept going on, then I would go out of business. So then I ended up figuring out a way to actually grow a business that was where I felt comfortable, and I didn't feel like I always had to force myself to do things that I didn't want to. And that system is what I'm going to be drawing from to show you today, and that has helped many of my holistic health practitioners grow their practices quickly, from not having a business in the beginning and having 5 figure months within a few months, and even bigger leaps like that. And in some of my clients, like a recent client of mine, was making, I mean, when she came to me, she was making 20,000 a month, and then um, within a month she was making 70,000. The month after that was about 40,000, and she's been averaging around that. So things can really shift for you very quickly. She's an introvert, by the way. And so when you have some of these systems in place. So today you're going to be learning are you actually an introvert or an extrovert? Like, what is the distinction here? And how to use your introvertedness as an advantage. You'll also learn what the top 2 strategies are for for introverts that are the most effective ones for introverts. So you don't have to feel like you're always having to force yourself to do things that aren't comfortable for you. And the one thing you must have in place to get known as a go-to expert quickly. So that way you can actually be more comfortable as you're growing your practice and be able to fill it more easily. So you can just focus on helping people instead of worrying about how to get more clients. And I'm going to show you all that I can in the limited time we have together today, and then I'm going to show you how to take this further. So how do you know if you're an introvert or an extrovert? Well, it's not really black and white, but if you say yes to at least 3 of the questions I'm about to ask you, then you're likely an introvert. Do you find yourself procrastinating having to be out there with marketing your practice? And if you do, go ahead and say yes in the chat box here. I'd love to see. Do you notice that you'd much rather curl up and read a book than go meet a bunch of people at a networking event? Or how about after an event, you don't feel like talking to anyone for a while, you just want some alone time? Sometimes you can't get a word in during conversations, but then you think of something witty the next day that you think you should have said. Or you take time to process things and you wish your brain worked faster because other people around you, they just seem to have an answer for everything. And many times you see people talking and talking and you're different. You need time to reflect, and it can be frustrating sometimes. So type in the chat box if you found yourself saying yes to 3 or more of these questions. And so, I see some of you are saying yes, so great. And the problem is that we live in a society that's dominated by extroverts. And if you're an extrovert and you had just snuck in to listen to this call because you're curious, well, it's nothing against you. It's just it can be challenging for us introverts because we're conditioned to believe that it's better to be an extrovert. Just think about how when you were in school, you the kids who raise their hands first, those were the people who were acknowledged first. Oh, you must be a better student because you raise your hand and you're out there. And many times we find it hard to be seen or heard just because we're not naturally outspoken like extroverts are. And what else? There's some also misconceptions about and stigmas about being an introvert. Things like how introverts are shy. And actually, um, not all introverts are shy. Sometimes as an introvert, we just need to have more alone time. And and just because we may want that introspection, those moments of introspection doesn't necessarily mean that we're shy either. In fact, I know an introvert who you would never guess is an introvert because he talks a lot, right? But there are those stigmas and misconceptions about an introvert, or that one of the things that drives me crazy is, and or maybe you've heard this too before, people thinking that introverts are like wallflowers or shy, right? But not necessarily. We aren't. It's not that all introverts are shy. And then the other thing is that sometimes we introverts may not come across as intelligent as an extrovert. We might not come across as we know the answers to something when really it's just that we need time to process before we talk. And this is the difference between an extrovert and an introvert. So introverts reflect on things that are coming to us as at a length, and then we react more slowly, whereas extroverts, because they're just more naturally geared for action, so then they end up reflecting and then they also react at the same time. And I personally used to beat myself up for this because sometimes I would find myself talking very slowly, and I used to think, what's wrong with me? I'm so slow. And so that's something that when I found out that that's actually something, it's a quality of us introverts that's just naturally there. It felt like such a relief. And so the other thing too is that you see in this cartoon where, this is another difference between an extrovert and an introvert. An extrovert would just love it if they were, well, an introvert would love it if they were staying in tonight, whereas an extrovert would feel sad, right? And so it again, it doesn't mean that a misconception of the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is that introverts don't like to talk to people, or don't want to be social. And there are different degrees of how we introverts are. Some of us are more social than other introverts, but the distinction is that we typically need a lot more downtime to recharge, whereas extroverts, they actually get recharged by being surrounded by other people. And so then, remember how I mentioned that 30 to 50% of people are introverts? Well, most people have both introverted and extroverted qualities. Yet we usually have natural tendencies of one or the other, and one isn't necessarily better than the other. But many times as an introvert, we automatically just feel that those introverted qualities aren't as good, and we downplay the strengths of them. We don't realize how being an introvert is actually an advantage. Because have you ever been in a room full of people, and when you decided to talk, everyone turned their head because they weren't expecting you were going to talk? That's a power an introvert can command. Another quality of an introvert is you might feel more, well, you actually might be more introspective, or you listen more. And because you're more introspective, just more naturally you're more introspective, it's a natural tendency of yours, then your clients may feel more understood. And with the right systems in place, your clients are going to be more, or your patients are going to be more likely to be inspired to come back and refer other people too. Now, this advantage is only an advantage if you recognize this as an advantage. Otherwise, you're pushing away the strengths and the gifts of being an introvert, which is really an important part of who you are. Because I want you to picture a geyser that's shooting up in the air. Or look at this geyser, this powerful geyser shooting up in the air. And now imagine the energy it may take to keep it from shooting up. A lot of energy, right? What happens if you let it shoot up on its own? It's in a flow. When you try to hold the power of a geyser back, it's a lot of wasted energy. Just like you trying to hold your introvertedness back, that's a lot of wasted energy working against you when you're resisting your introvertedness and your introvert power. So the first step is to embrace your introverted qualities. And what does this look like? Well, if you don't feel like talking to people, don't. If you're at an event, rather than forcing yourself to talk because you think you should be networking, don't talk. And when you're ready to talk, then be in that space of being open, and people will connect with your energy, and you're going to actually be more full to give your energy too. You won't be as exhausted and feel like you have to talk just because you should. And so now what about, and actually I want you to just take a moment and write down, what's one thing that you could start doing right away to embrace your introverted qualities, whether it's deciding you're not going to talk at a conference or networking event when you don't feel like it, or you're not going to force yourself to go to as many networking events or conferences. You're going to be more selective about where you're going. Or you're going to look for introverted strategies that are more comfortable for you. So just take a moment and write that down. And, personally, I didn't realize just how much this affected me in growing my business. And when I really embraced those qualities, like I shared with you, actually as an advantage, I felt this energy being freed up. And I also noticed that my business took off a lot quicker too. And so it's very subtle, but it's also very powerful if you really take the step and embrace it. And when you embrace this, along with having the right introverted step-by-step approach of marketing your practice, you're not going to have that disappointment with not enough clients to help, cash flow issues, and then feeling exhausted at the end of the day. Because there's actually a way to structure your practice so you can work with fewer people while you're making the same or even more income. And you can get more committed clients who even listen to your advice too. So one thing I want to caution you on is a distinction between an introverted qualities as being a natural part of your personality versus an excuse for not stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's not a crutch for not growing and developing yourself. For example, something that can hold us introverts back is taking too long to make decisions or not making a decision at all. As an introvert, you may need longer time to process information, but give yourself a reasonable time frame to make decisions by, and then go with your intuition or opportunities can pass you by. So now you have a better sense of how to use your introvertedness as an advantage. Well, how do you actually use it to market your practice? Or how do you actually market your practice in a way that's comfortable for you? Now, many of us introverts try to follow marketing strategies taught by extroverts. So you feel like you have to put yourself out there and that you have to be extroverted to be successful. And these are some of the things we think we should be doing. Networking, got to get that website up or a website upgraded because everybody has a website these days. And oh wait, social media. So many people are on social media. Got to get on Facebook and be posting there every day. I've got to get my newsletter out. And then my blog too, I have to start writing blog articles there. And advertising, oh, maybe advertising could be good. I should spend some money on advertising. And of course, I need to get more exposure, so I need to be out there more. And I've been told I need to go do things and be in front of people, things like health fairs and speaking. And oh, wait, maybe I should get some referrals. Ugh, just feels so exhausting, right? And so here's um, a secret that as I have worked with many holistic health practitioners who have gone from feeling like they're just spinning and feeling really overwhelmed to doubling or tripling their practices in a short period of time, is that many times they have a couple things in common when they're in this place where they're making six figures, for example. What is that? It's really zeroing in on what are your top two. What are your top two introverted strategies that can actually that can give you consistency and predictability? And so just focusing on those top two instead of getting caught up with the latest and greatest social media or online thing. And my client Elijah is a great example of this. She came to me when she was feeling frustrated that the economy had taken a toll on her practice. And after, and it never really recovered from that point in time in 2007. And then after we worked together for just 1 month, she had her biggest month since 2007. And within 2 months, she told me she had her biggest income day ever. And so you might be wondering, well, how did that happen? How did Elijah go from almost giving up in her practice to having her biggest month since 2007? And actually, I just spoke to her today, coincidentally. It was just today. And she said she is so busy right now. She doesn't even, for a while there, she got so busy that all she accepted for as far as new clients was if they were referred by someone. And now she can't even take on any new clients because she is that busy. And so how did she actually get to that place? And so I'm going to be sharing with you some top introverted marketing strategies with you today. And there are, what I've noticed is for us introverts, there are five key introverted strategies that work really well for us introverts. And I want to share with you the top two. Reason being that for many of you, one of your two is likely one of these top two. And if you can actually get this going to where it brings you consistent clients, then you don't have to worry about what else you need to do to get clients. You can just focus on helping people. So now let's have a look at this. What is one of the top two introverted strategies? So the first one is one that is really powerful when you have it down, and I want to share it with you to expand your possibilities so you can get started with it. And then I'm going to walk you through the second top strategy that works great for us introverts, and I'm going to give you something concrete and specific that can help you get more clients in your practice starting tomorrow. Now, did you know that it takes up to 5 connections with a potential client before they will actually work with you? It usually takes more than one interaction. And why is this? It takes that amount of time for people to develop trust. I was really surprised when I heard these statistics. Do you realize that after one connection, maybe 2% of the people will actually decide to work with you? Second connection, 3%. Third connection, 5%. Fourth connection, 10%. And what do you think it is with the fifth connection? I'd love to see. Go ahead and type in the chat. What do you guess is after the fifth connection? what percentage of people would actually decide to actually come in and see you or work with you? Well, guess what? It's 80%. 80%. Isn't that amazing? So what does that tell us? Well, on the one hand, it might let us know that, wow, okay, so if there's persistency there and more connections then instead of giving up, right, then you would actually have the opportunity of someone becoming your client. But then on the other hand, it can also feel like, wow, that might seem like a lot of effort there. And it's exhausting, especially for us introverts. So here's the good news, and this is what you can do to bypass having to work so hard to get a new client. And what is it? It's to set up powerful collaborative relationships that allow you to easily get more clients. This is the first of the top 2 strategies from the consistent clients formula that works great for introverts. And people will be drawn to work with you when you set this up well. So let me tell you about a couple of powerful ways to collaborate. So this is not just any collaborative relationship, but creative collaborative relationships that you might be overlooking. And so one way to collaborate is with different initiatives and projects or events. Now you might be thinking, well, who with and how do you do that? Well, just an example. So if you are a health coach, you could actually look at collaborating with a chef or a personal trainer. Think about the people who your clients could actually benefit from while you're actually coaching them, while you're working with them on their nutrition. For example, I have a health coach client of mine. So she offers $1,500, well actually no, now she offers more than $1,500 packages, but one of the things that she includes in her packages is actually a session with a personal trainer. So what that does for her clients is it's extra value added in for that client's experience and being able to, because nutrition is one aspect of it, it's also about what they're doing with their health, right, with their body and physically too. So then she's able to include that in what she offers, and her clients are going to have better success that way if they also take care of their themselves physically. And then it's really nice for the personal trainer too, because the personal trainer is likely also looking for clients too, and this is a great way for him to be getting exposure without having to do a lot of work with marketing. So it's a win-win for him as well. And then as far as for my client, what was nice about it for my client is she didn't actually have to pay anything extra to offer this session as a part of the package for her clients. So that's just one example of collaborating with an initiative there. Another example would be if you happen to have your own office and people came in to see you. Well, you could actually have, while people are waiting to come and see you, you could actually have a massage therapist come by once a week and give chair massages to your clients in the waiting area. And this could be why is this a win-win? Well, massage therapists want to have more clients. You could show the massage therapist how they could use it as an opportunity to inspire your clients to become their clients. And just think about what your clients would think. Wow, what do you think they would be saying to their friends about you? How many people would actually say that while they're waiting, they would actually have be getting a massage in the meantime? So that makes that experience more memorable and is also extra added value for your clients. And so you've just created more value for your clients. And that may not have necessarily cost you any money as well either, depending on how you end up setting it up. So the thing is, these are some of those powerful collaborative approaches, and to where you could actually it could end up being a win-win situation, and it could be opportunities for you to actually be able to get more clients coming in the door because of exposure. And one of the things that I often hear about from holistic practitioners, from aromatherapists, from nutritionists, and other holistic health practitioners is because some of you might have even thought about, oh, I could actually look at developing referral relationships with people, but how do I talk to people And how do I get in on the for those opportunities, and you're not really sure how? Well, this is one avenue that can actually start a conversation with someone about something that could be collaborative. So it's not just about, one of the biggest mistakes that many holistic health practitioners make when trying to get more referrals and trying to get more provider referrals, for example, is by just looking at it as approaching that relationship as wanting to get referrals. And then you don't hear back, right? But if you approach it this way instead, and from a collaborative place, then you're more likely able to start off that relationship, and it can actually lead to potential referrals for you, just an example. So that's one top marketing strategy, powerful strategy, so powerful partnerships. And then imagine actually having other people doing the marketing for you. So as far as powerful partnerships, we talked about creative collaboration. What is another possibility of a powerful partnership there? Well, just think about this. Who also helps people similar to the kinds of people you help? And what if you actually had relationships with those people who could refer those clients to you? And these people, we can call these people influencers because they're influential to their community. So then you can just sit back, relax, and you can watch a steady stream of referrals come in from influencers. And the thing is, you don't actually need that many key referral relationships like this with what I'm about to share with you. You just need a handful of people you're close to and refer a whole bunch of people. And they can be your biggest champions. And it doesn't have to be intimidating if you have a comfortable approach. And when this happens, you could do less marketing, and you don't have to be in contact with as many people when you're getting the word out about your practice. So what's one example of an overlooked kind of a person you could set up a powerful relationship with in terms of referral partnerships? So we talked about creative collaborative relationships, but what about referral kinds of relationships, right? So this is where, imagine again, if you're a nutritionist or even aromatherapist or an acupuncturist, whatever kind of holistic health practitioner you are, one example is MDs. MDs are actually used to referring patients to other people. And MDs actually have thousands of patients in their practice. So if you can actually develop a relationship with an MD and get them on board with what you're doing, that can be such a simple way of getting a stream of referrals. Now, you might, but the challenge is that it's not always, you might feel like, oh, I don't know how to get my foot in the door. I'm not really sure how. You might be thinking, well, I've even tried developing cross-referral relationships with MDs, but that didn't work for me. You might be saying to yourself, well, I even got as far as a good conversation. A nutritionist I was talking to recently said that she was asking referrals from her MD. This is her own MD. And the MD said, oh, I'm actually happy to refer people to you. And so she ended up getting really excited about it. And it was months. And it was just since then, and that MD has only referred 2 people to her. And it felt disappointing for her because on the one hand, she was really excited about that first conversation, but on the other hand, she actually didn't get as many referrals as she could have. But if you actually set things up so that people are sending you referrals as far as other providers are sending you referrals, imagine what could happen for your practice. Imagine if even one practitioner sent you 5 referrals a week. What about 5 practitioners sending you 5 referrals a week? How many referrals like that would you need to fill up your practice, right? So let's have a look at this. Why are those referrals not happening? Typically, it's because those people aren't really sure why they should be giving you referrals. And you also don't really like rejection, and so you don't really want, and you don't want to be pushy, and so then you don't really know what to say, and then you just don't reach out to them. You're not really sure how to set things up so those other people are doing marketing for you. So as far as what to have in place to develop that relationship to a point where a steady stream of referrals come to you, the first step is to know who are the best people for you to connect with. And if you're like most holistic health practitioners, you don't have that much time or want to devote that much time to marketing your practice. So this is where you want to be strategic with it. But what I often see is that there's no strategy with this. You might meet someone, you might talk to them, and you feel like you like them, and you think, oh wow, this is really wonderful. Let's see if we can refer people to each other, and that's it. How's that working for you? Are you happy with the number of referrals you're getting every week? Now, I used to think being strategic, that sounds so calculated. That feels so calculated. Talking to people and being strategic, it's like you're doing something when you want something from them. But the reality is for that relationship to work and be enjoyable, it's not about you anyways. It has to be helpful for them somehow and also their patients. And it can be a relationship you enjoy, especially if you like to know fewer people as an introvert, because it can be an opportunity for both of you to make your business stronger. So really look at what are the kind of practitioners. What maybe it's another holistic health practitioner. Maybe it's an ND. Maybe it's an acupuncturist or chiropractor, or maybe a nutritionist, or maybe it's even a fellow aromatherapist. And look at how they could be contributing to your in terms of how could they, by having this relationship, how could it help your patient, your clients, and how could that MD or provider, by knowing you, how could that also help their patients? So that's the first step to think about. And then what else do you need to have in place? Well, one of the challenges that I often hear of is I don't really know what to say. I'm not sure how to get my foot in the door. Why would a doctor or why would someone else want to send referrals to me? So what do you say? How many of you have trouble with that? Not really sure what to say. Go ahead and type it in the chat room. So, well, here's what you can say. So one of the issues about actually getting referrals is when you're not sure what to say, one of the most common things that is often said is, oh well, it would be great to get to know you, and this is one of the common things I hear. So it'd be great to get to know you and see if there could be a possibility for mutual referrals. And that could be something that could work, but not at the very beginning of a relationship. Because what would you think if someone approached you that way? What are you going to think? Who are you? Why should I send people to you? Right? But many times as we're looking at wanting to grow, like if you're looking at wanting to grow your practice, wanting to grow your business, you just think, I need to have more referrals. And so then you end up approaching people in that way and not really thinking it through. So what could you actually say instead that would actually get their interest in wanting to send you referrals, or being perked up at wanting to hear more? Because that's going to be your first goal. So what you can actually say is, I'm looking for a da da da. So you're looking for, just as an example, maybe you're looking for a primary care provider, a good primary care provider you can refer your clients to. So I'm looking for a good primary care provider I can refer my clients to. And I'd love to chat, have a quick chat, and see if and how we could actually support each other with mutual referrals. So that's one approach. And the key to it also is to acknowledge them first. So look up on their website, go find out more about them, acknowledge them for why you decided to reach out to them, and then actually connect with them in that way. So then, why? Because most people would love to have referrals, even if they're a busy MD, right? They would love to have referrals. So that is one way of starting up the conversation to where an MD or ND or other kind of holistic practitioner could be interested in talking to you. And then you can look at how do you actually get things going so that they will actually send you a flow of referrals. And there's one thing that I've shared with my clients that made a huge difference, and sometimes, doubling and tripling the number of referrals that my clients are getting. And would you like to hear what that is? So let me share it with you. And this is something where I actually had a client of mine. She's actually a health coach, and she was actually still busy working another full-time job. She didn't really have much time to be growing her practice. So we ended up looking at getting her foot in the door in front of a top cardiology office. And she was so excited because one of the things she actually did was she actually did a talk in front of that office. And then she ended up leaving with the doctors. There's one doctor who wanted her to do another talk. And then she got introduced to a doctor that she had wanted to meet. And then the office also was really excited about her, and that office started to send her referrals too. So what was it about it that really helped her with getting those referrals? What was something that she brought with her? What it was a referral pad that looked like a prescription pad. So this is, and why a referral pad that looks like a prescription pad? Because patients are so used to getting prescriptions that whenever they see a prescription, they just think, oh, this is important. I need to do something with it. So that is something that if you were to give to someone you want to send you referrals, then that way that doctor or whoever you're giving that referral pad to will be reminded of you every time they see that referral pad. People in the office, you can actually give people in the office, their office, right, that doctor's office, a referral pad too, and they'll also remember you. So that is one key thing to have with you that can also help you with doubling or tripling the referrals you get from doctors and other providers. So one of the things that we did was, because our clients were needing this, we ended up creating a referral pad template that they end up being able to get from us. And one of the things that I thought about for what I wanted to do for you today is, would you like to actually have that referral pad template? So what I decided to do is actually give you access to it. So it's my gift to you, and you can go get it. So you can access the template and actually download it and use it in your practice, so you can actually use it to help you double or triple the doctor referrals you get. So you can get this at www.introverted.com/ACHS. So it's www.introvertedpractitioners.com/ACHS. So that way you have that, and you can use it right away to help you be something that can help you with doubling or tripling doctor referrals. And so what else you'll end up needing is then you also need to know how to get past gatekeepers. How do you actually get past gatekeepers? And because those people in the front desk are typically wanting to screen you out. So what do you say to them that will actually get their attention? And then you also need to know, well, what else to bring with you? So aside from the referral pad template, well, what else to bring? And really have a system that keeps you on their radar without you feeling like you're bothering them. Because most of you aren't, as an introvert, it's not like your natural tendency is to be pushy and really aggressive. So then you probably don't want to be bothering people with that, right? So having that structure, how do you actually keep them under your radar? Because it's one thing to be actually that they see you as someone who's an expert, and it's one thing for them to actually think of you first to send referrals to. So I'm going to go ahead and take some questions for now, and then after I take some questions about what we've covered so far, or any questions that are coming up, then we're going to get into, because so far we've gotten into what's one key to really start using your introvertedness as an advantage to growing your practice, and then also what's one top marketing strategy that's really effective. to grow your practice quickly as an introvert. And then, so let me take some questions, and then we're going to move into what is a second top strategy, because maybe this one wasn't really right for you. And so another strategy may be more effective and feel more comfortable. So let me take a couple questions. So what questions are there? So go ahead and just type it in the chat box for if you have any questions.
We do have a question from Cheryl, and she mentioned that the site is not working, but I just checked it one more time, and it does seem to be working for me, Cheryl. So maybe if you want to check if you typed it in correctly, and we can also post the link in the chat box as well.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Thank you for posting the link in the chat box. And so make sure you put in www.introvertedpractitioners.com/ACHS. And any other questions? All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. And if there are any questions,
Chen, we do actually have a question that just came in.
Okay.
It's from Caitlin, and she would like to know, I live in a small town where not many are educated on holistic medicine. What are some tips on educating potential clients?
Wonderful. So tips on educating potential clients. This actually segues really well into what we're going to talk about here in a moment. So let's go ahead and talk about that, and I'll answer your question as we go along here. It's such a great question. When you live in a small town, what do you say? And when people aren't used to holistic options, and then even if you don't live in a small town, what do you say? Because maybe there are a lot of other holistic practitioners in town, and how would somebody actually know why to go see you? And maybe they actually start lumping you in with what they know about an aromatherapist, what they know about a nutritionist, and they're already judging you before you even open up your mouth. So what do you say? So I'm going to be helping you with that in a moment here. Great question. So let's have a look at this. What is that second top strategy for us introverts? It's actually to look at how to create a buzz so that other people are actually coming to you, and you don't have to be doing a lot of marketing. And one of the ways is through referrals. There are also other ways of creating a buzz. So when we talked about referrals earlier, we were talking about collaboration earlier and partnerships. Those were of providers sending you people. This is actually of patients or clients sending you a flow of clients. And why is this such a great strategy? Because these are people who typically, if they've with you, especially with your existing clients, they have a level of trust with you that's not there with other people. So when you actually have things going in your business to where things are set up and you're getting referrals, then you don't have to be worrying about always having to try new things and do all sorts of different things to get clients. Just as an example, and here's the thing, a lot of holistic health practitioners actually tell me that they love getting clients through referrals, but it doesn't really happen as often as they'd like. In order to know how to get multiple referrals, you need to understand why people don't refer. It's usually because of one of these three reasons. And I'm going to be sharing that with you in a moment here. So as far as the power of referrals, it's like, in this cartoon, you're going to see the bartender referred me to a shoeshine boy, and the shoeshine boy referred me to you. So, so you just never know how people will hear about you if you actually have a system in place. But most holistic health practitioners don't have a system. It's just very random. Well, I sometimes get referrals, sometimes don't. And then maybe it's actually, have you ever gotten a client of yours who said to you, "Oh, did so-and-so call you? Because I told them about you." And then your answer is, "No, I didn't actually hear from them." And you don't know what to do. So those are actually missing possibilities for you of getting referrals. And this is really interesting because this is a study done by Action Impact, I believe. And this is really interesting because 89, did you know that 89%, their study is done on this, 89% of your satisfied clients are actually willing to refer. But how many people actually do refer? 29%. And why? Because they don't usually, they either feel like, for one, they don't get all that you can do. They don't, because just because they are getting good care from you and they feel like you helped them a lot, how does that translate to telling someone else about it? And or maybe you might feel like you're actually unable to communicate your value. How do people really see the value in coming to work with you? Just like with the question that was asked just not too long ago, you know, I live in a small town, and how do I how do I get people to understand what I do? And the third reason why people don't refer is that life gets in the way. You know, they might have had the greatest intentions, but then they forget about it. They go about with their day and then they forget about it. So what is really key that can help you with getting referrals? Well, one of them is to really get clear about what is $1,000 kind of a problem. What is $1,000 kind of a problem that you can help people with? What is an expensive, urgent, and specific problem that is a daily struggle kind of an issue that people can help you with? So instead of you saying, introducing yourself, and when you tell people what you do as I'm an aromatherapist or I'm a nutritionist, instead of saying that, actually talk about the $1,000 problem, that $1,000 problem that you can help people with. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, okay, I get it. So you talk about that $1,000 problem. And then some of you might be actually thinking, well, but I can help so many people. I don't really want to limit myself. How many of you feel that way? So if you feel that way, not press, but type in the chat if you feel that way. You don't want to limit yourself. So that's totally okay. But the problem is that if you're very general about the kinds of people you help and what you can do, people don't even think about it. They don't put the two and two together about why they should come and see you. So that's a challenge. So really talk about, when you're telling people about what you do so people get it, talk about $1,000 kind of problem. You know, whether it's that you help people with hot flashes and who are feeling really miserable and moody all the time. So talking about it in that way versus, hi, I'm a nutritionist. I can help you with what to eat when you're going through menopause so you'll feel better, right? And so, but actually just talk more about the $1,000 kind of problem. So that's the first thing. And the other thing about, now let's look at why else you may not be getting as many referrals as you could be. Because if you actually did get a bunch of referrals, then that can be such an ongoing flow of clients for you. And when you get that snowball effect happening, then you don't have to actually be even doing anything for marketing. Like my client Elijah I was talking to today, she doesn't do any marketing anymore. She doesn't need to. She doesn't want to because she is so busy. And so what have you been heard about how to get referrals? Well, you might have actually heard things like, saying, by the way, I'm never too busy for referrals. Have you heard that before? I actually hear that from my realtor, one of my realtors. Or how about the greatest compliment you can give is a referral? Or how about let me know if you think of anyone? But what would you think when you actually heard of that? Does it make you really want to give them a referral? The greatest compliment you can give is a referral. Probably not, right? So how can you actually ask for referrals and actually get them? So this is a secret to asking for and getting a referral. So let me share with you what it is, and then I'm going to give you an exact script of what to say so that it feels heart-centered and you don't feel pushy when you're asking for it, and it's going to be much more likely to get you referrals. So one key is to have that specific reason to refer and a specific health issue and the solution. Like, what is the outcome that your clients could experience from coming to see you for their hot flashes? What is the outcome they can experience from coming to see you because they have migraine issues? So being really clear about those things first, and then actually having a system in place for asking for and getting referrals. Because getting referrals isn't usually a one-time thing where you just ask them and then you expect that all of a sudden you're going to get a bunch of referrals, and then if you don't get a bunch of referrals, that this thing doesn't work. Right? It's just a process. But the nice part about it is when you actually have it in place, then it can get you referrals. So let me give you the what to say, the script of what to say. This is from the Consistent Clients Formula for Introverts. So this is, and there are different scripts at different stages of the referral asking process, and this is the first one to get you started with right away. You can use this in your practice even tomorrow to get referrals. So in the beginning, say, this month we're trying to help as many people as possible with so-and-so health issue. So notice this is really specific, right? So I'm going to go through this and I'm going to then peel back behind the curtains about why this works so well. So then you're going to say, can you think of one or two people you can introduce me to? They may work with you, be in PTA with you, go to church with you. Please introduce them to us by, or please introduce him or her, right, to us by an email or giving them this flyer to an upcoming talk. And by the way, if you actually want this template without having to feel like you're furiously writing down, you can go, it's actually at that website that I gave you earlier where you can download that referral pad template that's helping my clients double and triple their referrals. And also this script also is included there too. So let me give you the website so you can download it if you'd like. So it's www.introverted.com/ACHS. Again, www.introvertedpractitioners.com/ACHS. And then it's also in the chat box for the other link that you can access in case that one doesn't work. So you just click on that link and then download it. So this month we're trying to help as many people as possible with so-and-so health issue. So this is being really specific because then it'll actually have them think about what kind of a person to refer, right? Because if someone were asking you, can you think of anyone? Well, who is anyone? It's really hard to think of anyone. So the mind goes to, oh, I can't think of anyone. I'll think about that later. Whereas instead, if you're letting people know of the kind of person you're really wanting to help more of, and this will help them actually think of people. And notice that it's also bringing them into a bigger picture mission here of what you're wanting to do. This month we're trying to help as many people as possible with da-da-da. And then can you think of one or two people? So this is being very specific. And when you are specific about just one or two people, then it's going to be so much easier for people to think of actual people to send to you. So you're much more likely to get referrals that way. Then, if they say they can't think of anyone, then you can say, give them ideas. Give them ideas about where those people might be. Well, they may work with you, they may be in PTA with you or go to church with you. Please introduce them to me or to us by, and this part is really key. This is so overlooked and is the main reason that many of you are not getting as many referrals as you could be. It's to actually make it really easy for them to give you the referrals. So actually sending an email that they can easily forward to that person, and which has both of your contact information on there. So remember that challenge that we talked about earlier, where maybe you've heard someone, a client of yours, say, "Oh, I actually referred someone to you. Did they call you?" And then you said, "No, they never called me." And then you think, "Well, I don't know. I can't really reach out to them," right? But now if you actually ask your client to introduce you in this way, then you're more likely going to be able to have their contact information. You can make a connection with them. You can say, "I'm so glad that so-and-so client referred us, and happy to see if and how I can help you." So now that referral that was right under your nose is now right under your nose. And then the other possibility is actually giving them a flyer to an upcoming talk, for example, right? So, or a flyer, it doesn't have to be a talk, it can be a flyer, something that or maybe a gift certificate or something that's a special offer. And the key is a deadline. So what do we do when there's no deadlines? For example, I just found a gift certificate in my drawer that was from 2 years ago and I haven't redeemed it yet. So what happens when there's no deadline is people think, oh, I'll do that later. But if there's some kind of a deadline, then you're more likely to actually have someone take that step. So that's the key. So to review, really, here's some tips from the consistent clients formula for introverts. So give people something in their hands and actually ask for the referrals regularly. And then instead of giving up just because you asked once and then they didn't actually give you a referral, ask again. And when you have a way of asking so it feels really comfortable and heart-centered and not pushy, then you're more likely to get referrals that way. And then it gets to a point where it snowballs and you don't have to actually be asking for and trying to get more clients through all kinds of different ways. And the nice part about it is that, for some of my clients too, it's like you don't really want to be doing all that. You don't feel like being the one asking. Well, you can actually hire it out. You can have someone in your front office be using the system that works to get referrals and have them do it for you. So that way you can be in a place where it's not in a place of hoping anymore, and you can actually have predictability of getting clients. So I've shown you today about how to actually start noticing some qualities of yours that are actually an advantage for us as an introvert. And you also learned how it is just so key to really embrace that as an advantage, our introvertedness as an advantage, and how important it is that we introverts need a different approach than extroverts do. And I've given you some insider tips to inspire people to refer. And these things came from me having been around the traditional medical model for a long time, seeing what gets, for example, I've worked with many MDs in my lifetime as a pharmacist originally, and I've noticed what they respond to and what can get your foot in the door so that you can have a way that actually gets you referrals, and that way you don't have to do as much marketing. And we also talked about the top 2 most effective introverted strategies. So one of them being looking at setting things up so that you actually have powerful creative collaboration opportunities and partnerships going, and that clients are coming to you in that way. And then you also have, we talked about the other top 2 that work really great for us introverts, which is creating a buzz so that people actually come to you and you're seen as a go-to practitioner. You're seen as a go-to expert. So you don't have to always feel like you're trying to get the attention of people, but people are actually coming to you. And one of those ways is to actually getting a flow of referrals coming to you. So the next thing you'll need to figure out is, what are your top 2 introverted strategies? So the 2 that I shared with you today are 2 of the top 5 introverted strategies that tend to work really well for us introverts, but they're different for everyone. And those top 2 may not have resonated with you. So what are your top 2 introverted strategies? And so that's the next thing to really zero in on. So then that way you can actually be in a place where you, instead of feeling like you're overwhelmed, instead of feeling like you're having to drag yourself to do things and force yourself to do things that aren't comfortable for you, you just put those simple things in place that really work in your natural flow as an introvert, and it'll be so much easier to get clients to help and be able to grow your practice the introverted way, and also be proud of that. We don't have to do it in the exhausting extroverted way. So as far as what I thought about wanting to make available for you is to make, as far as the Referral Pad Template, that I want you to have. So make sure you go ahead and download that so that you could use it to help you get more provider referrals. And then that referrals come to me script number 1 is also going to be included. So you can start using that in your practice right away. And then the consistent clients formula for introverts, remember how I talked about how there's something that you can look at doing that can also help you as an introvert, where you don't actually have to see as many clients, but you could actually be making the same or more money. Well, that's covered in one of the steps of the consistent clients formula. So I'm going to give that to you, and you can download that And you can just go to, I'll give the website again. So it's www.introvertedpractitioners.com/ACHS. So here's to you stepping into your introvert power and being proud of who you are just the way you are. And also with the gifts that you have, the natural gifts that you have, and that you've also gone to school to learn now about what you're passionate about. And maybe you have already gone to school to learn. And it's time to change what's going on. It's time to take that step forward, because you are part of that light in seeing the ripple effect happen so that more people can be helped. They need you, but right now they don't know about you. And it's about you taking that step forward and being able to get known without having to always be out there marketing. So what is your decision? What is your step that you can take next that can really help you step into that introvert power? So have a great night, everyone, and hope this has been helpful for you. And again, if you end up wanting that script, there's the link for you to download the template and formula. And have a great night, everyone, and look forward to helping you further for those of you who are connecting with us beyond this.
We do have actually a couple more questions before we let go. If we can probably take one or two of these.
Happy to answer.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a question from Carol. What if you are new to the field and lack the experience keeping it, and that's keeping you from getting referrals?
That's such a great question. So the lack of experience and keeping you from getting referrals. So here's what I would say to that. The first thing is to look at what you do have. And just because you don't have experience as much as other people might who have been in practice, there are things that you know that many providers don't know about. So just focus on the things that you already do know. And then something that could really help you get more confidence is also to work with some clients. So maybe in the beginning, look at working with some clients. And even if, I typically don't recommend working for free. But even if it means that because you feel like you aren't able to get a paying client, then work with some clients, so then you can talk about those experiences. And that can help you get referrals. And then the other thing about that is then to talk about the situation as if, as far as talk about what you do in the sense of, remember what we talked about with the $1,000 problem. So what is a $1,000 problem that you can help people with? So that's what I would say as far as your first steps with that. So hope that helps. And then any other questions?
Yeah, well, we do have a really nice comment from Barbara. She is saying, I'm an extrovert and I learned some great tips today. So,
oh, wonderful. I'm so glad to hear, Barbara. Wonderful to have you here.
From Michelle, she's wondering, are the other 3 formula choices on the website as well?
Are the other formula choices? Oh, so the consistent clients formula for introverts, so there's steps of the consistent clients formula. There's steps. What I've noticed is that there are certain steps that what I've noticed is that what happens many times is you look at growing your business and then you end up feeling really stuck. It's usually because you're not getting enough clients and it's not consistent. It's usually because you have things out of order. Just as an example, you might be thinking, oh wait, I really need to get on Facebook and I really need to start posting up on there. But is that really the best first step to be taking in your practice with the stage of practice that you're in? For many of you, it usually isn't. For example, Facebook is usually not that great when you're starting out. Because for one, a lot of things have changed in Facebook, and many times, even from a year ago, even if you posted on your Facebook nowadays, people don't even see your posts. You actually have to pay to get your posts boosted to be seen. And so, but then many people think that Facebook is a great thing and you have to have it. But what happens is that Facebook is actually better for people who have been in practice for a little bit, because they actually, when you can use it as a way to get referrals, it's actually ends up working more easily for you, and actually better for you. So the point I'm trying to make is that there are steps that are really important to have in place first before you look at what the other steps are and putting that in place. And when you can actually do things in the right order and with simplicity, that's when it'll be a lot easier to actually get more clients consistently. So you're not feeling that up and down of feeling like, oh, I've got a lot of clients today, and then tomorrow you're twiddling your thumbs and you're feeling like, why am I still in the office? I'm wasting my time here, but nobody's calling, or my schedule's not full today, and you feel disappointed. And then you feel that stress of the money ups and downs. You know, you have a good month, and then the next month it's, oh no, I don't know how I feel really stressed about paying the bills. So then the consistent clients formula are the steps of what are really key areas to have in place, so that it'll be a lot easier to get clients. And there are 5 steps, so that's what's going to be in there. And as far as what your top 2 introverted strategies are, that's something you're welcome to, really explore that in yourself, or you're welcome to reach out to us, and it's something we can help you identify from a 6 and 7 figure perspective, if that's what your question was. So then that way it'll be easier for you to zero in on what exact steps to take that can help you with getting that consistent flow of clients, so you could just focus on helping people and money's coming in too. So any other questions?
We're about out of time, so I'll go ahead and wrap us up. But if anybody has any further questions, you can absolutely email Chen at mentor@fillmyholisticpractice.com. And thank you so much, Chen, for such a great and useful talk. And thank you, everybody, for attending our master lecture. And please keep an eye out for an email, which will go out very soon with a free recording of today's webinar. And make sure to stay subscribed to our mailing list so that you can get future announcements about our master lecture series. Also, if you enjoyed today's lecture, feel free to check out our accredited online course, NAP 306, Holistic Health Consulting and Business Skills. And in this course, it's 3 credits, and you'll learn business ethics, marketing, and a wealth of knowledge that you'll need to run a successful holistic health business. So you can visit achs.edu to find out more. So thank you again, everybody, and have a great day.